So ever since the derailment in East Palestine, there's been a lot of concern about the possibility that deregulation or lack of regulation on trains contributed to it. But don't worry, Glenn Kessler of the Washington Post has a response. No. It wasn't Trump's deregulation that did it. You can see the article right here and you can read the entirety of it if you want. So far, Trump's rollback of regulations can't be blamed for Ohio train wreck. So he agrees with Donald Trump, who earlier said, I had nothing to do with it, nothing at all. For the first time in his life, not taking blame for something. But anyway, I don't know if specific actions that Trump took increased the chance of this happening a little bit or a lot or made it a guarantee. I don't know that for sure. And we haven't claimed that it definitely contributed. We've said there's reason to believe that it might have. But I do want to take issue with a little bit of the fact checking that happened here. So as an example of, he goes through a bunch of different things that happened under Trump, whether they could have potentially impacted this. And so one, the most important, I think the one that people are focusing on the most is regulations on installing electronically controlled pneumatic brakes. So modern brakes rather than brakes from the 1500s or whatever. And so in this article on the Washington Post, he says, NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy said on Twitter that the repealed rule was not relevant to the accident because it would have only applied to high hazard flammable trains, whereas the train that derailed in East Palestine was a mixed freight train containing only 3 Class 3 flammable liquid cars. This means that even if the rule had gone into effect, this train wouldn't have had ECP brakes. And that is enough for Glenn Kessler to then say, that means you can't blame them for this. Well, first of all, I would ask you to free your mind a little bit. In theory, we could have regulated. Now, yes, Trump is no more responsible for not doing more stringent regulations than Biden or Obama was, but that is something that could have happened. So maybe they all deserve some blame. But also, they allowed trains that contain multiple flammable liquid cars to not qualify as high hazard. That's a choice that was made. So in theory, this could have applied to those trains. And even beyond that, he acknowledges in his own article that one of the people who helped write the rule as administrator of the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration said that if the rule hadn't been delayed and then shelved, she believes that there's a variety of reasons that the train companies would not be selectively installing it on one train. They would want the trains to be able to haul different types of cargo, so they all would have gotten the brakes, which means that this potentially could have helped. Again, we don't know for sure, but this is one of those fact checks where the fact checker is going out of their way to be defensive towards the person that they're clearly trying to protect with this. Sorry, Jordan, I know that that's a lot there, but what do you think?
Well, you're right. And I think Obama, Trump, and Biden, they all share some blame here because those rules that they're talking about, the classification of these trains, that could have been changed and could have been heightened under Obama. But the rail industry, the American Association of Railroads, their big lobbying group, fought it, pushed back against it. And Trump repealed what little rules they had. Biden and Pete didn't reinstate them. So it's all of them. And you've seen people on both sides just pointing the finger. It's like, hey, everyone sucks here. Glenn Kessler also comes from the Royal Dutch Shell family dynasty, so I don't expect him to be a real neutral arbiter of of truth in anything related to fossil fuels or industry, anything potentially hazardous to people. But yeah, that's who his family is. So
that is interesting.
I think his opinion is perfectly fine to disregard in the situation. But really, we need tougher regulations and we need these brakes on all trains. The technology is there, let's just do it. But the thing is, they won't because it costs money. They don't want to do it because it costs money. Meanwhile, they've spent billions on stock buybacks over the years, with very, very little being spent on capital or in infrastructure investments. So that's what they care about. It's enriching their shareholders, giving themselves huge bonuses. They don't care about people in East Palestine. They don't care about the workers. They don't care about anybody affected by their many derailments every year. And to sum that up, Pete said in an interview recently, well, people are making a big deal out of this. I'm paraphrasing. People are making a big deal out of this. But really, we have 1,000 or so derailments every year. That's bad. That is something really I think we should work to mitigate, not just be accepting of. We need to figure out, how do we reduce that number? 1,000 and we're okay with that. How many days are in a year, John?
I don't know, like dozens, but yeah, no, that does seem like probably too much. No, if you had asked a random person 6 months ago how many train derailments there are in America, they'd probably be like, I don't know, man, are there 5? That seems like a lot. But anyway, yeah, no, you're totally right. There is a lot of blame to go around. Even if it was specifically like the ECP thing, Biden could have reinstated it. We don't know for sure that there would have been enough time for them to put the brakes in. And again, at the end of the day, we don't even know for sure that the brakes are the cause. But deregulation, not just in terms of that regulation was taken away. I mean, a governing philosophy where our approach to regulation is what can we do to benefit corporations, that clearly is to blame. And if you're a conservative watching this, when a 1.5 mile long train loaded down with chemicals that are both deadly and unpronounceable is barreling towards your town, what do you want first and foremost on the mind of the legislators that are writing legislation about what's gonna be on that train and what's not? Do you want them to be thinking about the interests of the train company or the people who live next to the train tracks? Because there are 2 types of political philosophy that could govern our country. And we've had the one, well, let's let the rail barons have what they want. They've been in power for hundreds of years, and we've seen what comes of that. Maybe we can switch it up a little bit. But it doesn't look like we're going to, and really fast. So for Glenn Kessler, again, like, hey, everybody, pump the brakes, wink, wink, on criticizing Donald Trump. He's defending their stance on deregulation as the Republicans are broadcasting that they don't want to do any regulation in response to the derailment. You have this article coming out on Politico, I think it was. They're urging no burdensome regulations on freight rail coming up after this. So you had Senator Rick Scott asked, what should lawmakers do? And he responds, well, start doing our oversight and stop approving people that don't know how to do the job. You get it? Replace Buttigieg. That's it. Just replace Buttigieg and let the toxic, like, wasteland trains keep barreling through your town. Others were asked about what they should do, and they want to wait until the National Transportation Safety Board finishes its work in maybe 18 months, once everyone has forgotten about this. So again, do nothing. And Representative Troy Nehls, he was asked about just increasing the maximum penalty for violations of safety regulations, and he said we shouldn't even do that. They have an amazing safety record, which isn't true. Again, 1,000 derailments a year. But even if it was true, we're talking about violations of safety regulations. If they have such a great record, then they shouldn't be worried about that. They'd never willingly violate those regulations, right, Troy Nehls? But again, to the hypothetical conservative, who do you think is first and foremost on the minds of these Republicans right now? Is it you? Is it the future, like value of your home after it's been doused in vinyl chloride? Or is it the CEO of Norfolk Southern and their board? Who do you think they're thinking of? Anyway, John, sorry, Jordan, for the thoughts.
I'm so glad you brought up Troy Nehls. Let me tell you and your viewers a quick story about how the media is culpable in misleading the general public and doing corporate interest bidding. So Politico, as many people know, have these tip sheet and daily newsletters. Playbook is the popular one. And corporations can buy ad space in them and sponsor these newsletters. As people here who watch TYT understand, it's a very serious conflict of interest because you have this, political beltway media outlet being sponsored by the industries they're supposed to report on.
Yep.
And over the past week, we've seen the American Association of Railroads buy ad space in Politico newsletters touting their safety record. And the day after, so this was a story in The Lever the other day, talking about how these ads have been running, touting this 99.9% safety rating, which, think about that for a second. If someone said, hey, 99.9% of planes don't crash, how would that make you feel? Okay, what about the ones that do? We should do something about the ones that do. And the very next day in Playbook, Troy Nehls, who is the head of the subcommittee that regulates the train industry, is parroting the exact same 99.9% line, which I think any rational person might think that's not true. We need to see more evidence to validate that claim. But it just shows they're just parroting these lines and they're giving open space to corporate propagandists. So it really illustrates the importance of a true independent reader and viewer supported media.
Yeah, 100%. It's so see-through. Why don't they care? Like, they will spend weeks on this story. This is an attack by Michael Regan and Pete Buttigieg against white Americans. They're not even like hinting at that. They're openly saying, this is an attack on white America, an attack on white America, and what should we do about it? I don't know, criticize Buttigieg and then move on. Do literally nothing to stop it from happening to another community of great white conservative people. It's very easy to see. I don't know how they don't. But to circle back to your first point, they deserve help. It doesn't matter how conservative the area might be or whatever. This is what government is designed to do. Hopefully to stop these things from happening, but when they do happen, to help people. If a government can't do that, it's not a government.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.